Okay. Welcome everyone to our virtual happy hour this week. We are talking about supply and demand with Parts Distributors. We have Jeff Diamond with Marcone. We've got Besor Fayes with Reliable Parts, and we have John Sessions with Encompass. Welcome, gentlemen. And then we also have Renee as our moderator, and she's with Island Appliance. Okay, Renee, it's all yours.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody taking time out of the day to join us and talk about a couple of things that are affecting the industry right now. So we'll just get right into it. I know that a lot of people are affected by parts. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to have you guys come together and kind of chat about what's going on and maybe shed some light on some things. And you are required to give us some hope and inspiration before the hour is up. So tell us, with COVID being such a huge issue right now and everybody's concerned with it, what kind of changes have been implemented within your organizations to deal with it, you know, on a company level or a factory level? What are you guys doing? Jeff, I'll start with you.
Well, that's a pretty large, encompassing question. Okay, because
yes.
you know, we have 1,000 employees here, and so on multi-levels, and we've made a fair amount of changes. Right now in our branches, we won't let you into our branch if you do not have an account number. So you have to be recognized, and even that's for curbside pickup only. Caused some consternation, but not that much. Then on our RDC level, we've kind of split in shifts so that if someone does get sick, and so far we've had one person in a branch, so we're very lucky, but if someone does get sick, we still have skilled employees left. We were about ready to open up a new RDC, and we're leaving it closed for a few reasons. One, COVID just kind of messed up the whole situation. But we also left it closed as a emergency. If one of our other RDCs does close, we will open that one up immediately. And we're about ready to open it up anyway. There's lots of changes. I mean, it's mostly it's all involved in keeping our employees healthy and safe.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't suppose you had the option a lot of us don't have the option of sending people home to work from home, especially if it's a hands-on kind of job. So speak about that for a minute. Did you have the option? Did you choose to send anybody home to work from home? Was that something you were able to do?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. We sent a lot of people home. So I'm in a 15,000 square foot corporate office. We have about 100 employees, and we run with 12 here now. Everybody else is at home. Our call center moved home.
Wow.
Yes.
Correct.
And it was pretty seamless. And the thing that surprised me the most is our productivity went up. It needed to, but the call takers are taking more calls than they ever have, and you know, they're not second guessing themselves. They're not talking to the guy next door all the time. So we've seen productivity among the call center go up. My guess is one of the big changes from COVID is they won't come back. We'll keep them all remote.
We spoke about that on another happy hour about how a lot of the industries are discovering that their productivity goes up with work from home programs. So interesting. Besor, tell us what you guys are doing.
Yeah, very, very similar to what Jeff is speaking on a couple of things. Is number one, employees obviously are first and foremost keeping them safe because they are, out against with the customer face to face. So one of the big things we did first off is try to order, plexiglass locations for our branches right away. And we did adopt the method of where curbside pickup only, where people are calling in. And that did a couple of things that, caused your call volume to go up in your call centers, which then you had to try to, staff appropriately for. And things come in shifts, so you have to really manage your personnel very well. Of course, we moved all of our non-essential personnel home as well. In our corporate office, I just have 6 people there in the corporate office. Everybody else worked from home as well. So that took us about 2 weeks really to get ramped up, to find, computers and get software rolled out and that whole process, and then get it shipped out and put people remotely. So that took a little while, but it worked real well. We had a really good IT team to come together, had a good plan. So most of our non-essential folks are working from home. And then our warehouse staff, similar to what Jeff was saying, we have everybody works in shifts. So there's a morning, kind of afternoon, and a late evening shift in the warehouse to make sure that things aren't compromised. We did have, a couple of locations get compromised, and it caused us to be down for a day. You have to go through the whole cleaning process and make sure that none of the other employees are going to be in an unsafe environment. But we try to help our customers through that process by resourcing their orders. If like when we had to shut down our New Orleans branch for a couple of days, and it happened right around 4:30 in the afternoon. So we had to immediately shift all of those orders over to a different branch to try to fulfill them right away. We shipped packages for free for customers that were going to be will call there, pick up in New Orleans. And so you're having to do several things, to kind of help make sure the customers are taken care of. Then, of course, we isolate all of our returns when they come back into us to make sure that there's no contact that comes back into the employees there. So they're isolated for 3 days. And then we rolled out PPE throughout the organization. Our counter folks have to wear their face masks in states that they require them to. And everywhere is different, right? I know our Houston area, that's a very, very, it's a big hotbed. Harris County is not doing real well with the COVID. So employees in that region are very, very concerned. And so we won't open our branches to have people come in. We will do curbside there. But on a lot of our locations, especially in Arizona and Washington, we have the partitions up. You can come in at the branch and pick up your parts, same as we used to. The time is a little bit longer. There's an impact there as far as that goes. But yeah, that service levels are generally back to where they used to be.
Okay. Yeah, I wanna circle back around the parts returns, because I had heard that some companies were holding those for 3 days, so I want to circle back around to that later. John, similar, or tell us different?
We already had a large number of remote employees, so it was a very easy transition for us to have all of the call center employees work from home. Our phone systems were designed for it. We had already converted away from the old desktop computers years ago, laptops, to allow people to work after hours or on holidays, weekends, whatever they needed to. Right now, we still only have essential employees in each of the facilities. That's primarily restricted to warehouse staff. All of our accounting, all of our call center, all of the support staff are all work from home, and we don't see that changing anytime soon.
Right.
Productivity has gone up. There's a lot to be said for not having to fight traffic in Miami for an hour or two, or Atlanta, or these other facilities. So stress levels down. Everybody's happy. We did do one thing that I was actually very proud of. During the initial stages of this, we acquired a large number of not the N95 masks, but the paper masks. And initially we held them. We had about 5,000 of them, and we held them and we waited to see whether we needed to ship those to one of the cities or counties that was not able to get these. But then we saw that the supply chains were coming back to life, so we actually made these available to the servicers. Many of the large clients said, please just ship them out to our servicers with yours. Don't know whether Renee, any of your team ever got any, but we sent out thousands. And it was the large companies were trying to be strategic about where these went. If a servicer called in and said, well, I don't have any PPEs, okay, fine, we'll send you some in the next shipment. And it's very simple. It's a Ziploc bag with a pair of booties, a pair of gloves, and a mask. But we still have them. We brought them forward, and we're selling those at cost. So it's good for everybody. So if you all hear of anybody that is short of this stuff, let me know. We also have one company that's a client that bought over 500,000 units and is holding those for internal use or external use should anyone need them. So it's a big comfort factor when somebody walks into your house, rather than having them just wear a mask. The gloves and the booties, obviously you're tracking in more germs on your feet than you are anywhere else. I don't know about you all, but the first thing we did was leave the shoes outside, and you have to dunk them in we actually used a baking sheet, one of the cookie sheets, and poured bleach in it. And you have to dunk your the bottoms of your shoes in the bleach before you can put them on the deck. A lot of that stuff we did in the warehouse also. All of our employees have access to the masks. The majority of them use them on a daily basis. Obviously, there are times when it's not necessary, when there are 10 people in a 100,000 square foot warehouse on a Sunday evening. Maybe it's not necessary, but whatever the guidelines are for that particular city state, we're following all of them.
Right. Do you find it difficult with the guidelines changing in each state to kind of keep up?
No, because we're just making it easier for everyone by having everything at the entry door. We're taking temperatures on everyone that's coming in or out. Only our existing employees are allowed in the facility. There are no tradespeople. Even our pickups are done in brown bags outside the door. We staple the entrance to it, and there's a big glass wall there, so our pickup guy can see if somebody comes and steals anything. But so far, we haven't had any losses associated with it. They just stop by and pick them up right off the sidewalk.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned current employees being allowed in. Are you currently fully staffed? Jeff, I'll let you field that question. Is everybody there, or are you missing some people, or are you shorthanded?
We are missing a few.
Mhm.
in the very beginning, we did furlough about 5% of our workforce, mostly from
Right.
our branch operation, not from our distribution centers. Those people have we've called them back in most cases to work on the phones as opposed to the branch. We've shifted their where they work, but they still have they're still employed. I think Besor mentioned that it really put a burden on the phone center as we started to curtail activity at a branch. We used to take back returns and things like that at the branch, and we stopped. It has to go through the RDC, and we moved virtually all the calls we could, which is retail, all away from the branch. So our call center was getting burdened with that, so we moved the branch people there, and that's kind of what we've done to help eliminate that problem. So
just shifting people around. Besor, are you fully staffed, or you?
Yeah, we're fully staffed for the most part. From time to time, you'll have something happen where a family member gets something and an employee is worried about it, so they're going to stay home that day. But for the most part, none of our locations are shut down. And you had asked John an interesting point earlier about from state to state. Our Reliable's in a variety of states. Quite a few states. We have 30-some locations here in the U.S.
Right.
And so every state being a little bit different. I know our HR department spends a ton of time making sure that they're staying up with the newest things that come out through the CDC, making sure that they're staying up with the state regulations, and if there's any changes, they implement those. And it's really, we meet every other day to make sure that the whole business is staying on top of that particular thing. So it's a big deal. Yeah. But no, for the most part, we're fully staffed. Very thankfully, our DCs, which are really the lifeblood of the business, and getting parts out and processing them, those have really stayed COVID-free for the most part. So it's been very few closures.
Good. So let's circle back around to returns. I know that most of you have already said you've modified your returns process and you're doing a holding for 3 days. We have heard this also. How is that working out, and how is it impacting your customers? How's it impacting service providers to have those returns held for 3 days? Jeff, you grabbed that one.
Okay, yeah, that's a great one to grab too. Well, honestly, the big move was when we wouldn't allow our branches to take returns and they had to ship them in. We're running about a week behind on processing those anyway. So, and we didn't mind so much because that's what they were telling. The guidelines were allow a week before you open up packages. So, to us, there's really no change on that. Everything's going the way it was. We've had some problems at the branch because the branch customers had different expectations. They were getting instantaneous credit, which stopped. So, they're getting their credit, and they're getting their credit within a fairly decent time frame, and doesn't really impact their statements. So, in general, they're pretty good with it.
Would you agree, John?
Actually, we didn't delay them. We're processing within 24 to 48 hours of receipt. We have all the sanitizing sprays, everything from Lysol right on through available, and all of the returns employees are masked and gloved. We did see a significant decline in returns, timely returns. So the servicer wasn't able to do the job because they couldn't get into the house. So
Right.
a core, rather than being returned in 15 days, was being returned in 45 days. So we saw a lag at the beginning, and then a rush to return all this stuff. But
Right.
luckily, we were able to maintain those lows and highs, uh, and even to the point where if a servicer was going to go on credit hold because they didn't have enough available credit, but they had pending returns, if they could give us a
Mm-hmm.
tracking number, we would pre-credit that based on the tracking number and release that available credit. We're also continuing, even today, to delay the returns timeline. So where we had a mandatory 60 days on something, those are all wet. that's all out the door at this point. Whatever is necessary, if they need 120 days, if they need 190 days, we don't care. We certainly understand that there are going to be cases with homeowners, vacation homes, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Right. Which brings me to my next question. Have your companies made any kind of accommodations? You just spoke to some for service providers during this whole situation in terms of, like you're speaking of, extending that courtesy of releasing that credit hold, or have you extended return times and core return times and that kind of thing in light of the situation being what it is with shipping right now? I know everything's coming slow. I would assume it's going back to you guys slowly. So have you had to do that, Besor? You want to reel in that one?
Sure. So we kind of work with every customer. If a customer comes to us and say, hey, I got some returns, they're outside of our normal time frame, we need to return them, we definitely work with the customer to allow them to return those parts. We don't have anything specific as in now I had a 30-day policy and now I'm gone to 60 or 90 or whatever that might be. No, we haven't changed that, an overarching state policy throughout the business. But we will work with customers to make sure that they're taken care of and they're not stuck with parts. We recognize what all of our servicers are going through right now. The problems that they're having, getting even just in the whole supply chain, getting parts through. So
right.
Definitely very cognizant of what they're going through. As far as credit, if you have a good credit and you've reached your credit line, we actually will just continue to release your parts and not hold up anything, but that's based really on the finance department and making sure that the customer has a good track record. But we're very open to work with anybody on extended return timeframes.
Okay, good. John, I saw you nodding at that. Jeff, respond on that. Tell us if you've had to do anything like that, or if you're responding to the need for the service providers in any way.
Was that to me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and
I would
honestly,
point, but I still don't know you.
I said you said John, then Jeff, and okay.
Well, I saw John nodding when Besor was speaking, so I figured.
And Besor really kind of he nailed it for us too. I mean,
good.
We don't have an offset policy to give everybody extra terms. It all comes down to how good you've been a customer of ours for how many years, what our history is with you, how well you've worked with us, we will work with you, both on returns and the credit limits. It could be devastating to a distributor, or at least us, if everybody starts going to 90 days. I mean, we have to protect our cash flow and our processes too, but it really hasn't become a huge problem yet. We're finding that a good percentage of our customers are so busy they have cash flow coming in, they're paying us. So that hasn't been our image or our problem.
Yeah.
The returns, of course they're having troubles, and FedEx and UPS aren't quite as good as they have been in the past. So, the one thing I can tell all servicers when they're always asking about how long, nobody's checking tracking numbers. While it's not a perfect date, it is a date. So we've been using that a lot, and just making sure, everything's coming in at the right time. We've had packages stopped in holding centers for COVID. And, they were there for 3 weeks. I'm sorry to say it. We reordered the parts from somewhere else, but it's kind of amazing. So, but we really hadn't had to make special terms or a broad sweep with the paintbrush to say everybody gets an extra 30 days. Hasn't been an issue. So.
Yeah. Now, with the shipping and receiving being what it is, and we've already spoke to how that's slowed down, I would assume on both sides it's painful for your particular industry. Receiving stuff has gotten very slow, and getting it to your customers has become the same. So how are you coping with that, John?
It's been difficult. Many of our facilities are within a mile or two of FedEx and UPS distribution centers. So we're typically one of the last to be picked up and one of the first to be shipped to. But we immediately got calls from everyone, including the president of FedEx. Scott Cameron was called onto a call, and they announced that, and this was back in March, maybe April, early April, that they had, for the first time in history, exceeded capacity. Now, FedEx had never even approached capacity, even during holidays and that kind of stuff. So this was unprecedented, where they actually would skip a pickup. Like you're talking about 15,000 packages, and they just wouldn't pick up. But at least they told us about it in advance. We shared it with the key clients, and as these pickups were missed, we immediately communicated. And we're lucky; we have a lot of integrations, so the integrations fed the major clients the tracking data, and they know exactly where everything is. So on the receiving side, there have been some interesting days. You get 100+ pallets from anyone in one day, and but our problems are nothing compared to. I have a friend that does the returns for Home Depot. He has over 6,000 trailers full of returns that they can't process.
That's a chunk, isn't it? Somebody's going to be working for a while.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean they're talking about a year before they can recover.
Well, I think every industry right now is trying to project when they'll recover. You hear a lot of things, and speaking with regard to FedEx and the other shippers, we were hearing rumors that they were just leaving things at the terminal because they just didn't have room for it. They just didn't have time to deliver it, so it was just getting left at the terminal. For someone in my industry, that is so devastating and frustrating. And some of the guidelines that are in place won't even allow us to go over there and pick it up. So our customers are just what sort of excuses, are you able to hand them that are acceptable, right now? But, we look at that, and so, we want to know what's happening on your end. Besor, do you want to weigh in on shipping?
Sure. It's been a nightmare, and I know there's a lot of frustration out there with customers on where's my
Right.
package. We've had to, this goes back again to the call center where additional problems that are, that happen nowadays with the current situation has caused us to have to do a lot of research. Our claims with UPS have gone up quite a bit. But we've tried to mitigate some of that by shifting our customers over to localized regional carriers. So like Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma has LSO. You have OnTrack and GSO on the West Coast. You have Speedy and, in the Midwest. So we've tried to pivot and customers where it fits the certain situation to best serve the customer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So speaking strictly of supply chain, I have a few questions about that. And I was reading recently that one of the experts was saying in order for it to get stronger, the supply chain, it needed to become shorter. Do you agree with that, Jeff?
No. And when you say shorter, do you mean remove the middleman?
I think they were speaking specifically about making it more home-based or localized production. That's my underering. So instead of importing from other countries, because I know that's been a big issue.
Well, that's a big deal there.
Yeah, into the country.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so and some of our suppliers for ancillary lines in particular, we have made sure that they are home-based, American-made products, because it does miss some of the regulations that are now, a lot of items come in from China. But when you look at LG and Samsung, hey, and they're not going to manufacture here. So it's just going to be a current process. Up till this point, I don't think there's anybody that wouldn't have said that the world's getting smaller and smaller, to answer that question. This is, it might be a wake-up call to those that live here, buy American-made products. And even those aren't made in America. That's the other part. And when you look, Electrolux is a Swedish company, but they make product here. Most of GE's product is made in Mexico. And they make a big deal about the made in America products. So it's a world economy, and I would tell you this is just it's an unusual time, and the supply problem has happened before. It's not that unusual if you really look back. You look back in 2011 at tsunami, automotive, and even the touchboard idea. And so we've learned something from that. This just came on, and it's just a lot longer. The models that we've built help try to determine demand. And so I don't think making products going to be made outside this country. It just it will be. But when you have a choice, like I said, we've switched to a lot of American-made products. We were somewhat making that change anyway. Tariffs and things like that got in the way, and the pricing got better. As we all on this phone call know, there are a lot of pressures on pricing and margins, and the nature of the beast is we find the best level for our customers, and that's what we do. So I guess the answer is I don't think making it shorter will help.
Well, you know, in light of what's going on, how do you, Besor, how do you see the industry as a whole recovering? Would you give a projected crystal ball? I always call it the crystal ball question. So how long do you think the impact will be felt? When are we going to start to pull out of this?
As far as a COVID impact in our personal lives, I don't see that changing until we have, you know, based on how the media is putting this and the government, what everybody's saying, I don't think we have anything to look forward to except a vaccine. And whenever that comes on, then I think things will start to change. For our personal industry, for the servicer, I think this is a great time for the servicer. You know, their business, everybody that I talk to, their business is through the roof. People are staying home. They're breaking more things. They need more parts. They're not going to buy new. There's, you know, issues on the product side. People are scared about, you know, spending money. So they're going to repair side of things. And I think that's really, really good for every one of the servicers are on this call. So, you know, as a parts distributor, we're just going to continue to try to do the best thing, make sure we engage the manufacturers the right way, make sure we try to change our buying strategies to, you know, offset what's currently happening, and then work with every customer. You know, every customer is a personal customer. They're not just a number. And so, you know, you have to work with them as an individual and as a person. And you know, that's what's going to get us through this. So I don't see anything changing, but I know that this industry, you know, we're blue collar people in this industry, and we work, when things get tough, we just work a little harder.
Sure. So following up to that question, do you think that the buying strategy going forward for PDs is going to change in response to what's going on right now? Do you think that'll change the buying strategy going forward?
Oh, it already has, absolutely. You know, there's a big influx of need, so that alone is driving, just the demand is driving, and then, you know, you're trying to project out how long this is going to happen and you're going to stay around. Right. And so based on that, you're trying to do financial projections to see, you know, based on your cash flow, how much can you bring in, and try to offset the demand. You know, some things like, you know, stocking up on masks or stocking up, you know, on specific SKUs that are going to sell in high volume. You know, you try to get out ahead of that by a good margin, you know, 45, 60 days, whatever it is your strategy is. So we've tried to do all of that. It's been really tough on our receiving departments, though. You know, you'll have Whirlpool hit you with 120 pallets, as John was talking about, and you have your teams working around the clock over the weekend, Sundays, try to receive, and Monday morning the product's gone again. So it's this constant give and take, but I think we're working through it well. I know the manufacturers are doing a lot of things to try to make up for it, doing air shipments even to that extent. So they're trying to utilize every tool they have to help us.
Well, that's good to hear. I know you know, and sometimes we wonder, you know, what's going on, and even though we know and we have answers, you still have that what's happening. You know, why is this? I heard somebody today comment that, you know, you'll have 80 units of
We can't hear Renee.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we lost Renee.
Oh. That's a good question, though.
I know.
Can I answer that one? I know that one. Oh.
Yeah, Renee, your video is still working, but audio is not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can take over from here.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Hopefully. Thanks, Jeff. Let me just grab my questions and see what she said. If you want to try and get it to work, Renee, we'll come back to you. Do you guys see any support, any extra giving and taking from manufacturers to help with these issues that we're having, the inventory levels? Anything that you've heard or that you've seen where manufacturers have stepped up, kind of, taken extra steps to help you guys? Jeff, you're the one that
Yeah,
that said you have.
question.
You're the one that told me you have. You guys have. I mean, nothing's perfect. We know that.
Yeah,
We know that nothing's
yeah.
perfect.
You
But
know, yes, I mean, it's been a mixed bag from the manufacturers. Unfortunately, their parts demand is for product too. Yeah, product is it's the dog, and we're the tail on this one. We ain't wagging that thing. However, I do know that the manufacturers have kind of freed up their emergency stock. That's the stock that they tell you when you blame me for being out of something, and you call the manufacturer and they say, "Oh, we got plenty." Well, they got plenty for that phone call. Well, they've released that. But I was in a meeting today, and we were talking about one of our vendors because we placed 2 orders, and they kind of told us no, it's too big.
see, and that's what we've heard. There's roughly at any given time 1 month of supply, of stock available,
well,
and
they're kind of trying to
they've
divvy
kind
it
of gone
out,
through
but
that.
It's when the product people get involved that they push the manufacturer to supply the distributor. So it's where some of these large accounts, I thought I heard somebody mention Home Depot and stuff like that. When they can't get something, that's all of a sudden they find these parts. And they've had their issues trying to stay COVID free, which, so it's kind of like, I get it. And I think Besor hit the nail on the head again when he said, once the vaccine comes out, life changes.
Different ballgame. Right. What have you seen? Let's go to you, Jen. What have you seen that people are doing in the industry that gives you confidence? Like, what are we doing right? What have we done to make this to improve the industry during these tough times? People working together.
I've seen some partnerships, some alliances that I never thought would happen. People are coming together in ways I never thought was possible. It really renewed my faith in humanity. We hear about one servicer that's having financial problems, or family members are sick, and other guys are jumping in, taking his jobs and covering them for him. And it's just, there are a lot of problems, but there's also been a lot of good.
We've heard that too, where you can't make a call, so you call one of your who would be competitors, and they step up to the plate and step in and help you out, or stuff like that. Hey, we don't have the part, but oh, you do. Oh, here it is. Definitely.
To echo that, what John was saying, there's a tremendous amount of on social media. You look on Facebook, Appliance Repair, all those different things. You see all of these people coming together and helping each other. Guys who don't know something, you just you see these threads of 30, 40, 50 comments on something, and the whole industry has really come together, I think, and try to help. There's a lack of training right now. That's one thing we're trying to figure out how to get past and to give out through this time. So I know there's a lot of lack of even people. I know last week I had people who were trying to get a hold of a tech line, and we're having issues getting into a tech line. The other problems being staffed due to personnel being out from COVID. So there's a lot of that, and John's so right. People have come together, and it's just awesome to see.
And that's what I was trying to get at with you too, Jeff, is even the manufacturers are providing training online and trying to help in any way they can, where it typically might not have in the past, have stepped out of the box and done that.
Yeah, you know, what I've found is that the communication has stepped up immensely between everybody. I mean, there was no reason we weren't doing these virtual happy hours 6 months ago.
Right.
It forced us to learn how to communicate way better than we've ever had. We found new avenues and new ways, and I think we've been very successful. You know, I commend all the service associations for, you know, all the training via webinars. We've learned to, you know, talk to our customers in a different and the best way we could under the circumstances.
Right.
So can you hear me now?
We can.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. I can still hear everybody. I just was blanking out there. So I might have missed a little bit of what you were discussing while I was gone, but I did hear you talk about everybody coming together and trying to pitch in and help out. And, yeah, and we have seen that. And I'm grateful for the group that I communicate with almost daily, because I can have that input and somebody to bounce it off of, you know, and maybe they're having a bad day and I had a bad day, or maybe, you know, one of us can pitch in and help the other. So we are grateful to everyone in the industry who's trying to help everybody else out. So what advice would you give service providers in light of everything that's going on, and knowing that they're waiting on parts, they're busier than ever, and, you know, we all know hiring is like the bane of our existence. So what advice would you give a service provider right now? John, you go first. There you go.
Buy more Encompass.
Wait a minute. I'm going to grab my pen and write that down.
Be careful who you're doing business with. There are people out there in the industry right now with large numbers of open claims, shopping those around. You can do some damage to your reputation by taking a claim that's already 3 weeks old. Obviously, we have to fulfill those, but there has to be a proper level set. I don't want to see a good servicer's reputation be tied up in a claim that was mismanaged from the beginning. Besor, Jeff, I'm sure you all have seen those.
Yeah, I would kind of just say it would be wise for everybody to still be good businessmen. And being a good businessman means you might have to make better or different choices than you would have in the past. That would be my advice. You know, be a good businessman. You will survive this.
Besor.
My advice is make sure you keep your employees as your priority. I think that's a no-brainer, but through COVID, all the stuff that's happened, and you know, just like Jeff, they had to go through furloughs. Reliable went through a little bit of furlough too, and we realized that, you know, sometimes we make decisions based on, you know, a kind of a quick reaction, and we really need to, you know, I know we didn't have a lot of information, but now you turn around and you're trying to hire as fast as possible, you know, to make up for that time. So making sure that your employees feel comfortable and safe in their work environment so they can perform and come in every day, and knowing that they're going to provide for their family, I think is just huge. And whatever we can do to keep our employees employed and have a paycheck coming is the best thing we can do.
Absolutely. So going forward, I'm gonna crystal ball this one and say we're probably going through another 6 months of this, at least. That's the predictions I'm hearing, is some sort of a vaccine after the first of the year is what I'm hearing. So what, if anything, will you do differently over the next 6 months to a year to, continue trying to operate as normal? Are there any changes that you will make going forward that'll help alleviate some of the issues you're having currently? I will pick on Jeff.
And I'm happy for that. I get constantly asked when will my salesman be traveling again and all this stuff. It always comes down to, right now we're making educated decisions based on the facts that we have. So for me to go a year out would be way too long under this circumstances.
Right.
Our main goal, there's two goals. One, keep our employees healthy and safe, and the other one is to keep the supply of parts in the pipeline, or at least that we have. And I can tell you we rely a lot on our computer models to figure out, to try to anticipate need. And we've noticed, where the supply chain has changed. There's a thing called the bullwhip effect. It's like toilet paper. Everybody bought a lot of toilet paper. Now we're just sliding in. Nobody's buying toilet paper. And then guess what? Then there'll be a run on toilet paper again. It's not a level playing field. So we're learning not to try to get too caught up in that and try to stay, there's only so many appliances out there, and as product becomes more plentiful, so will service will diminish a little bit, and will come more steady. So we have our software, our plans and our software. We stay implemented to that. And, what I'll be doing, 60 days from now, they got a vaccine and everybody's back to business. So, and I don't want to be caught in that plan. But, we're staying with our predictive models and keeping our employees safe. And I think that's for, I would say, probably forever.
John, do you agree?
Yes, we're just adapting on a daily basis. We our marketing team, our IT teams are doing everything they can to follow the most innovative suggestions. We have some wonderful partners with the service network out there that are telling us what they need. We're applying technology to make that work. So it's really just the speed of adapting to whatever happens. There aren't any products out there right now. Products are 6 to 8 weeks. None of the big box retailers have any inventory at all. I don't know about you all, but I've actually walked in and tried to buy something.
Right.
It didn't matter whether it's a $400 dishwasher or the $2,000 dishwasher. There was no stock of any. So, and that's continued. And it's probably going to continue for an extended period of time as people are in their home more. It's harder to avoid leaky faucet. Or the dishwasher that doesn't work, or the microwave that doesn't work. So whether it's do it yourself or have a faucet come in, this trend will probably continue for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I expect you're correct. Besor, you get last question, and this is. I'm going to try to end this on an up note or a high note. So we touched on this a little bit, but what have you seen in the industry that gives you confidence with all that's going on? Who's doing it right? Who gives you inspiration? And when you look at them, you say, okay, wow.
I don't think I can pick out one individual or one company that has done something. I think that overall, a lot of the small service companies have, they're in a position that they can pivot and do things differently than a large company can. Large company has a lot more assets and things that they have to change, a lot of processes that would be impacted. So I think that a lot of the small servicers, anybody from like the 1 to 5 man shops, which are the majority of our businesses, those guys have done a really good job of making sure their employees are safe, making sure they get changing their processes and how they communicate and how they interact with their customers in their homes. And even from the aspect of, okay, I can't go into a front counter to buy a part. I can't talk to that guy and get my model number and find the part, do the little research, get some feedback. And they're doing that on their own, changing that process every day. Okay, calling my stuff in, making sure that it's ready 2 hours prior, so when I get there, it's good to go. All of those changes in your habits every day, everybody has pivoted and really adjusted to the new way we have to conduct business. So I think, overall as an industry, we have come up with a solution within a few months. We implemented that solution, and I think it's gone quite well. Talking with Jeff and John just on this call, it seems like a lot of the PDs are in the same mold.
Yeah, that's it's good to hear. So often we kind of get caught up in the moment, in the minutes, from 1 minute to the next. I hear a lot of people saying you're changing what you're doing every day to respond to something new. So it's been a challenge, both on our end, and I know it has been for PDs, and I know it has been for, the equipment manufacturers, and I don't see us, coming out of this in a brisk and easy manner. This is going to be a long and entrenched kind of experience, but hopefully we can all, weather the storm and work together. So I do want to thank everybody. I appreciate it. I apologize. I have to have at least one technical difficulty during every happy hour, so I met my quota. Thank y'all for the participation in that.
And we even did a trial. I mean, we were
yeah,
ready.
Now I test everything ahead of time because I don't want to leave her stranded. So thank you for picking that up, Sarah. But we appreciate it so much, and we look forward to seeing every one of you and all the members at, I will say, our next ASTI event. And hopefully that won't be too far off. We are planning one, and hopefully that'll come off without a hitch. But if not, we'll still be here supporting everybody with webinars and happy hours and people from the industry like yourselves. So thanks so much.
Yes.
Sarah?
Yep. Thank you, John, Besor, and Jeff. We appreciate you coming in tonight and taking your time out of your busy day or evening to help us educate our members and help answer their questions. So we appreciate that. And we also thank everybody for joining us this evening. And we look forward to seeing you guys again. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Ready.
Yep. We are.